Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om, I bow to the Lord Vasudeva. Joy to you, friends. In the last stanza of the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, thus declared Sanjaya, introspection to Dhritarashtra, the blind or passively receiving mind. It really says, just thus declared Sanjaya. The rest was all to help you to understand what's going on here. Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, his mind in upheaval owing to his grief and mental turmoil, set down his bow, that is to say, abandoned his meditative posture, because the bow, the string of the bow is the spine, the front of the bow is the front of the body, and slumped back into his chariot seat. Well, you have to say that Vedavyasa had a wonderful sense of humor when he wrote the Gita, because so many of these images are just priceless. Arjuna's slumping and getting so discouraged. Of course, he was really a master. He didn't get discouraged. He's talking about many devotees. I remember this one fellow disciple of mine, I told about this a few days ago, who would come into my bedroom while I was working at my desk and sit on the bed and slump forward like this. And it was as if a great cloud had come in with him. I could feel the influence of it. It was so tangible, you might say. I remember saying to him one time, cheer up, it can't possibly last another 40 years. I thought I was being helpful, and he was in a deeper mood for days after I told him that. But the truth is that everything passes in time. This too shall pass. It does pass. So anytime you have remember, everything is dual. Anytime that everything seems good, tell yourself it won't stay this way. And so let me not go jumping up and down with it. Let me enjoy it while it lasts. But then you will find that you have the power, when things go badly, to say they won't stay this way. And I can be in myself and be peaceful in myself, no matter how depressing things seem to be right now. And you may lose your job. There was a beautiful story that I read about in the Reader's Digest many years ago, that there was this man who was very wise and calm in himself, and a young man used to like to come and visit him and learn from him. And he one time asked him, what is the secret of your calmness? And the older man said, well, come with me. And it took him to his chest of drawers, and he opened it up a drawer, and he found a very fragile shell there, a seashell. And the boy looked at this and he said, that's your secret? Yes, he said. Back in 1930, I was very wealthy and I had a great business. And suddenly, overnight, it was all destroyed and I found myself poor. I found myself penniless. And I didn't know what to do. It seemed to me the only possible answer was to commit suicide. So I sent my parents away to the country, and I took a little cottage by the sea, and my resolution was to walk down into the waves and walk farther and farther out until the water took me and I drowned. And as I walked into the waves were so powerful they threw me back onto the shore. And I kept getting up and trying to walk back, and the waves kept throwing me back against the shore. One time, as I was picking myself up off the sand, I saw swirling in the water beside me this fragile shell. And I thought, how is it possible that a shell so fragile as this could have survived this beating of the waves? And I realized then it has survived because it has gone with the waves instead of against them. And isn't that what I've been doing? I'm going against the waves of my circumstances, against the waves that life has thrown up against me. Let me go with them. And so I didn't commit suicide. I came back and resolved to rebuild my life from where it was. And it has been a good life. I have never become as rich as I was, but I've had a happy life. And the main thing that I have learned is that if I just go with life instead of working against it, everything seems to flow for me. So remember, don't think that by fighting that you will get there. The more you go with the circumstances of life, the more life will support you. But the trouble is that most people, in their efforts to achieve anything, think that it's only through fighting. Arjuna had to fight, and yes, he had to fight all these negative qualities that he had fighting him, but he had to do it in order to reach the point where he could flow with spirit. Brahmacharya really means to flow with Brahman, flow with Brahma, flow with spirit. When you can flow with the truth in your own being, then you can find inner freedom. So remember, the battle is not just fighting. It's not a strain and stress. It's trying to tune in to your own higher self. Don't get angry with yourself when you fail. This is what I learned when I was giving up smoking. Every time I went back to it, I didn't get angry with myself. I didn't say, "You fool, you failed, you've done it again, you're no good." I didn't do any of that. I just said, well, I haven't yet succeeded. And when a person is trying to paint a painting, I said this also. If you make a line that doesn't work, you don't break your brush in a fit of idiotic and adolescent frenzy. You just say, all right, I'll try to correct it. So the way to fight your faults is not to get angry with them and not to get angry with yourself, but just to say that I haven't yet succeeded, and I will keep trying. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. You won't build your own city of God in yourself in a day. But you can do it, and you can do it quickly if you have that quality, supreme of all qualities, patience, contentment. When you can be content in yourself, everything else will come in its own time. But there are times when a certain amount of fierceness is also necessary. I remember one day many years ago, I was a young disciple then, and he was trying to get me to overcome my sense of intellectual pride. And I remember one evening in meditation, I just said, I'm absolutely fed up with this quality. And I just threw everything that I had against it, driving it out of my life with absolute fierceness. When I came out of my meditation, I saw my guru standing above the tennis courts looking out over Los Angeles. And I knelt for his blessing, and he tapped me on the forehead, and he said, very good. And since then, I've never had that temptation. Sometimes you do have to be stern and strong with yourself. But remember, the emphasis should be not on the negative part, but on getting in tune. Had I not been thinking of the beauties of humility, the beauties of surrender and openness to God, I couldn't have done it. You have to get out of that delusion enough to see that you are fighting something that is not you. Then, and with the Guru's grace, you can do it. And in that inner freedom, you will find that then you begin to flow with the Spirit, and everything seems easy to you. Joy to you.